As John Thornton waits for his partners to arrive from Dawson, he nurses Buck back to health. Thornton's dogs, Skeet and Nick, befriend Buck. Buck develops a deep bond of love toward Thornton. Thornton returns this love, treating Buck as if he were one of his children. Buck becomes so attached to Thornton that he always follows him around. Even so, Buck maintains a strong connection with the wild. Buck relies on his primitive instincts when dealing with dogs other than Skeet and Nick. While sitting by the fire near Thornton, Buck dreams of half-wolves and wildlife. During the day, Buck often hears the call from the wilderness and runs deep into the forest. However, the dog's love for Thornton always draws him back to his master. When Thornton's partners, Hans and Pete, arrive, Buck tolerates them because they are Thornton's friends. Buck's love for Thornton continues to grow. Once, as an experiment, Thornton orders Buck to jump off a cliff. Without hesitation, Buck attempts to do so and is stopped only when Thornton and his partners drag him back from the edge. Later, in a bar, a man named Black Burton treats Thornton roughly. Buck attacks Burton and rips his throat. During the fall, Thornton has a boating accident, falling in dangerous rapids. Risking his own life, Buck jumps into the current and saves his master. In a bar in Dawson, Thornton and other men brag about how much weight their dogs can pull. In a rash moment, Thornton brags about Buck being able to pull a sled loaded with 1,000 pounds. A man named Mathewson bets $1,000 that Buck cannot pull this weight for 100 yards. Not having this money, Thornton asks a friend to loan him the amount. Everybody goes to the street to watch this happen. Mathewson insists Buck must break the sled's runners out of the ice. No one believes Buck can win the bet for his master, and even Thornton has doubts. Mathewson wants to raise the bet. Thornton, Hans, and Pete pool all their money. When the crowd sees Buck, they are all impressed by his size and fitness. Thornton attaches Buck to the harness of a sled loaded with sacks of flour. He then whispers to Buck, "As you love me, Buck." Buck manages to break the runners from the ice. Then, with a tremendous effort, Buck begins to jerk the sled forward. Buck and the sled cross the 100 yards. The crowd throws hats in the air. Thornton kneels beside Buck and pets him.